Before love became a performance, it was presence. And that presence was called friendship. Welcome, gorgeous people. How are you settling into this evening? I'm T, and you just entered the Heart and Soul Chronicles, where we remember love through truth, healing, and divine reflection. As promised, we are back on track with the Divine Relationship miniseries, a journey into the sacred anatomy of self, partnership, union, and soul aligned love. And tonight's transmission holds a story you may not have heard quite like this: a holy theory, a soul memory. But first, let me say thank you. Thank you for sharing your evening with me. If you are listening to this the evening it's released, just know your presence here means more than you know. So, I grew up a fan of evening radio and late night music television. Those smooth voices, the way they wrap around you like velvet. That late night hour, the vibe always felt like a soul speaking directly to a soul. That's why I love recording in the evening and releasing it the same night. A full circle flow of presence, rhythm, and restoration. So, come a little closer. Get still. Let your heart lean in. This is the blueprint of bonding. Why friendship is the sacred ground where real love learns to live. Before you choose partnership, choose friendship. Because when you call someone friend first, you listen differently. You ask questions that go beyond attraction. You slow down. You care to know what shaped them, not just what they can offer you. Most people know their friends more deeply than their lovers. That's the mistake. You see, in friendship, you get to be whole. You don't perform, you don't pretend. You laugh freely, you speak honestly, and admit your fears without fear of abandonment. You listen to understand, not to impress. You respect each other's pace. You build mutual appreciation and reciprocity instead of silent expectations. You have a standard. And if this is not descriptive of your friendships, that speaks to your relationship difficulties. But when romance comes first, people shrink. They lead with what they think will be accepted, not what's real. They want to be chosen, not seen. And they want comfort, not clarity. And that's why it fails. You don't build something sacred by skipping over someone's story or their patterns. True partnership starts when you sit across from someone, not as a lover, but as a witness. And you ask, what shaped you? What broke your heart? What do you still believe in? Where are you going in the next 3, 5, or even 7 years emotionally, spiritually, and mentally? What did you learn from your last relationship? What do you hope to bring to mine? Because a relationship, romantic or otherwise, it must serve a purpose. It must honor time, energy, and life force. Love without vision is just emotional wandering. Friendship teaches that. And that's why you call your friends before your partner when things fall apart, because they know the version of you that didn't hide. So, let this be a holy return to respect, to curiosity, to learning someone inside and out before asking them to stay. Because when friendship comes first, love has something to stand on. Now, before we begin, just a gentle note about the upcoming story. You may have been taught that Yeshua and Magdalene belonged to Christianity, but long before religion claimed them, they were real people, living and loving in alignment with divine truth, not dogma. This story isn't here to challenge your faith, but to open your heart. So whether you follow a religion, walked away from one, or are still figuring it out, you're welcome here. Listen with your spirit, not just your mind. Now let's begin. The sacred friendship theory. Okay, I need to say this one more time to get it out of my body and into the field. It is not a doctrine or dogma, but it is a possibility. A sacred what if. What if Magdalene and Yeshua were not married? What if they were best friends? Now, follow me for a second. Not just friends like we say it now, but divinely tethered companions. The kind of friendship that makes you want to live better for yourself and others. A standard. It makes you speak more clearly, love more purely, deeper. The kind of friendship that mirrors your highest self back to you, whether you're ready for it or not. Teacher and student, mirror and muse, favorite human and most sacred witness. I don't believe they were in a covenant with each other the way we've been taught. I believe they were in different, yet divinely guided relationships with other partners, and that both of their lineages were necessary to see the remembrance of what love truly is. Because love isn't always romantic. Sometimes it's revolutionary through friendship. Sometimes it's the friend who risked the entire bond just to call you higher. I know that kind of love. I've been that kind of friend, and I am that kind of friend. And I've also let go of those who couldn't rise with me, because the truth is, I will never and can never again dishonor myself to stay connected. I've dimmed my light before. I've made myself small to be involved. But I'm not doing that any longer, and neither should you. And when I say Magdalene and Yeshua were friends, I mean the kind of friends that changed the earth. We get so literal with our interpretations, reading ancient texts through modern lenses and missing the spiritual codes they carry. They were cultivating divine legacy. And when you really think about it, what's deeper than romance? A sacred friend who will hold you accountable before they hold you close. They'll risk comfort for your clarity. They'll tell you the truth even if it costs them the relationship, because they love your becoming more than they love your validation. And that's why I believe Magdalene and Yeshua loved each other in the highest way, not by claiming one another, but by elevating one another. Maybe that's the kind of love we've forgotten. Maybe that's why we're hurting as a collective. Because most people have never been loved that purely. They've never had someone say, I will not let you stay small because I see the God in you. Now, let's pause for a moment. Grab your pen, your notepad, or your notes app. You can go ahead and open that. And let's pause and ask the kinds of questions that build better bonds. Who in your life has loved you in truth, not performance? Who have you loved enough to risk your comfort for their growth? Have you ever mistaken possession for purpose? Do you know what sacred friendship feels like? Or have you only known attachment? This is your call to love deeper. Some of the most soul-nourishing bonds on earth are formed through friendships between people of opposite genders. Not romance, not obligation, but sacred friendship, where two people choose to see one another without possession, pressure, or performance. Unfortunately, many of these connections are misunderstood because of society's imbalance, unresolved traumas, cultural fears, and the constant projection of insecurity or carnal temptations. Instead of honoring the wisdom that can come from a masculine-feminine friendship, many default to suspicion of shame. But in truth, these relationships are often where the deepest healing occurs. When you are witnessed by someone who has a completely different lived experience, a different nervous system, a different emotional rhythm, and they still choose to love you safely, something within you exhales. It teaches you what it feels like to be seen without being needed, chosen without being chased, and valued without being possessed. It sets the bar not just for love, but for what love should feel like before it turns romantic. So the next time you ask yourself what love feels like to you, let this be one of your measuring sticks. Does it feel like that friend? The one who stayed, listened, protected your dignity, and never once asked for your body in return. Because sometimes the best example of sacred partnership starts with a sacred friendship. Most times. The wisdom you may find yourself asking is, have I ever truly been a friend? Now, if you're one of those people who are disloyal, dishonoring, or quietly disrespectful to yourself by allowing behaviors in your relationship that you'd be ashamed to admit, then let's be honest. You're likely disloyal to others too, and calling it protection. Disloyalty doesn't always look loud. It hides beneath manipulation, half-truths, omission, sneakiness, and the mask of self-preservation. Ask yourself, are you behaving in ways that would disturb others if they knew your true nature? Have you ever been a real friend? Because if you haven't, it's very possible you don't actually know what it means to be a good partner. And that's okay, but only if you're willing to learn. There's a full episode coming that will go a little deeper into this exact pattern. But this podcast won't fix it alone. Go to the website. You'll find courses, sessions, and other resources created to support your growth in this exact area. You are not doomed, you are not being punished, but you do have to choose. Never be ashamed to reach for guidance on a path your nervous system has never known. Healing isn't weakness. It's remembering what you should have had all along. Go ahead and check out the website. It's betweenlovers.com, BTWNLVRS.com, or use the link in the episode description, and I'll walk with you from there. Now, did you guys enjoy yourself? I hope so. I know it's not always easy hearing these things, but that's why we do it together. Thank you for joining me today. When you rise, you call your divine partner to rise with you. When you remember, you call them to remember too. This is your love letter, beloved. Sit with it today. Let it pour back into the places that have been drained. I'm moving in purpose, not popularity. This podcast is not for the masses. It's for the moments when you asked for a sign, for help, or for understanding, and ended up here. To whoever found their way to my show, I am honored to pour into your cup in the most nourishing way. May each episode feel like a hug you didn't know you needed. My only ask, receive it with openness. Because if you found me, you were already asking for what I carry. I know my truth can make some people uncomfortable. It's not loud or performative, but it's piercing. Because I speak to places you've kept hidden, the places you've tucked beneath your mask, and I'll never apologize for that. I don't move for likes, I move for legacy. And if this touched something real in you, then maybe, just maybe, you were always meant to remember. And if this episode moves something in you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen. And please, don't forget to leave a review so others can find their way here as well. Follow at Between Lovers on TikTok and Instagram. I am T. This is Between Lovers, the Heart and Soul Chronicles. And remember, you are loved. Walk boldly, walk gently, walk soulfully. And if you're called, walk free. Peace.